like I get invited to talk at one of these things once or twice a year, and it's always humbling for me because when you look at the speakers that are usually populating these events, and today's no exception, you see guys with theology degrees, guys that have written books or host radio shows or TV shows or have big ministries. You know, sometimes there's a priest from out of town that does this and goes to different men's conferences. And as best as I can figure out, I'm up here because I've got a famous grandfather and a cool job. So, they cut my speaking time by 10 minutes here, just the last second, so let's get on with this. So it is humbling as I try to figure out why I'm up here, but listen, I do take my faith seriously, and I do believe, so hopefully that's something I say here today will be of value to you. The other thing that I think that these kind of conferences do is I find them motivating. Right? You come out and see upwards of 1,000 men that have taken their Saturday to be here to work on their faith and their relationship with God and with Jesus. It's motivating for me. I know when I leave here today, you know, I'm going to be rededicated to trying to live out my Catholic faith better. And I think it's important that we don't underestimate how important that motivation is. You know, one of our biggest challenges as football coaches is motivation. Some of our best practices that we have are those first couple of training camp. Before training camp starts, we have like 5 weeks off. So the players, they're still working out, but they're not getting beat up. Coaches are on vacation, so we all show up. The players are fresh, their legs feel good. No one's got any injuries. Coaches were rested up. And you've got that hope and that promise of the football season in front of you. And so those first few days, guys are flying around and it's crisp. But as those practices start mounting on each other and training camp wears on, you know, the players' legs start getting tired. They start dealing with bumps and bruises and sprains. And as coaches, we start getting sleep deprived and grumpy. So if we're not careful, as those practices wear on, a week or so in, you can just be out there going through the motions because all that initial enthusiasm gets worn out by fatigue. And so right away as coaches, we're looking to find ways to motivate these players. Right? We'll bring in speakers from different sports or different industries to come in and give them pep talks, or something as simple as showing them, you know, cool movie scenes, inspirational movie scenes at the beginning of a meeting, or highlights from the year before with a really cool music backdrop. Anything we can do to get these guys fired up so every time they go out to practice, they're giving us their best effort. And so we're getting better and better every day, and just never just going through the motions. And like I said, hopefully we all leave here motivated and enthused after today, but the same thing can happen to us. We can walk out of here in the world and start kind of wearing us down, and we can get our own figurative sprains and bumps and bruises or tired legs. So, you know, my first message would be take responsibility for your own motivation. You know, the things that you read, the movies you see, the things you watch on TV, what you look at on the computer, the people you hang out with, the things you do. Are those things in totality bringing you in the direction you want to go as a man, or are they pulling you away? So that would be my first message, is don't waste whatever motivation you get from today. Keep it going and take responsibility for your own motivation, because there are going to be setbacks in life. There are going to be things that kind of discourage you. You know, my wife and I, like Father said, we have 7 children. And we really try to make the Catholic faith very important. I mean, if you come over to our house, we've got a little altar area. We've got a crucifix in every room, a lot of religious art up. And say the rosary every day with our kids. We really try to make our Catholic faith a priority. And sometimes, you know, we get compliments, we feel like we're doing a good job. Well, I'm going to tell you a story. This was a few years ago, and we were having our 5th child, and we found out we're having a boy. So my wife and I are kind of talking about names that we might name him. And my 2 oldest daughters were probably like 6 and 4 at the time, and we just got a dog. So they start chirping in their ideas, and they're giving us really dog names. You know, we can name him Sarge or Chief, Duke. So my wife is like, hey, girls, those are great ideas. When we have a baby, we got to give him the saint's name. It's got to be the name of the saint. So my oldest son, who's 18 now, but he's only 7 at the time, he gets quiet, kind of looks a little confused. He says, what, like Reggie Bush? So we think we're doing a great job raising them. They still think the Saints are football players. So it's always things that we need to motivate ourselves with. Now, whenever I'm asked to give a talk, I think about my grandfather. And by all accounts, he was pretty good at giving speeches. A lot of people don't know that he started in high school in a minor seminary, discerning whether he was going to become a priest or not. He ultimately decided that God wasn't leading him in that direction, but his Catholic faith remained a priority in his life. Now, he went to Mass every single day, daily, never missed. Now, Bart Starr was his quarterback in Green Bay. And Bart Starr would tell you, if you ever came out to practice and saw his temper and heard his language, you would understand why he had it. My grandfather was a very quotable man. You could probably go in any coach's office even to this day, and you're probably going to find a quote hanging up in his office or somewhere in the football facility by Vincent Lombardi. A lot of people always ask me what my favorite quote is by him, and the one that always sticks out in my mind is he would tell his team at the beginning of every season, there should be three things in your life and three things only: your faith, your family, and the Green Bay Packers. And that's always been, in all seriousness, this is kind of a good benchmark for me when I'm evaluating my life and I see how I'm doing. All right, I said, do I have these things in order? And oftentimes I don't, but when I don't, I know how I should get them in order: faith, family, and in my case, New Orleans Saints, and you're going to probably have something different for your. But those are the important things. But I was lucky enough, my grandfather had some of his speeches recorded, and I was lucky enough to hear one a couple years back. And it was interesting. He started off the speech, it was the late 60s, a lot of social people, and he kind of named some of the hot topics of the day. And he said, at the end of the day, the only thing I'm probably qualified to talk about is football, and I guess I find myself in that same position. I was interviewed once by a Catholic publication a few years back, and they asked me how being a Catholic helps me be a better football coach. And I don't really have a good answer for them, and I don't know if I really have one today either. There's plenty of guys that aren't Catholic who have no faith at all. They're excellent football coaches, so I wasn't really sure how to answer it. As I reflected on it, I thought a better question, and one that hit my brain better, was how does being a football coach help me be a better Catholic? And I think that's what I'm going to talk about today. All right? I'm going to talk about some of the qualities that we look for in football players and athletes, and how I apply those to my faith. And it's appropriate now because we're in the middle of draft season, and I'm writing a lot of evaluations of players, and these are the things I'm looking for as I look at these guys. All right, the first thing I'm going to look for is I'm going to see if the quarterback is committed to the game. Does he love football? All right. A lot of people are surprised at how much work it takes to get ready to play every week. All right. So we play the game on Sunday. Grade the tape Monday, watching the players. They go off and run and lift. We start watching film on the next opponent. All right. Tuesday's the players' day off. Most of them come in and watch film on their own. But as coaches, we finish watching film on our own, and we get together and build a game plan on Tuesday. All right. Tuesday's just first and second down. All right. And we finish that late at night on Tuesday. We get our first and second down game plan. There may be 60, 70 plays on that. Players come in Wednesday, we install it, we practice it. And when the quarterbacks leave the facility on Wednesday, we really expect them to have that thing memorized. All 60, 70 plays, right? What are the three ways we're going to ride 35 pop? Right? They need to know when we run fixed right, flash 40, have a bubble, kill 382 deli, that we run the 40 versus shell. Unless that nickel wheel starts cheating, we're going to make a Mickey left ball for the bubble. All right? If we spin a single high, kill it the 382 deli, don't forget the Packer if you get a bear fart. All right? So there's one play. And there's 6 or 7. And then guess what? On Thursday or Wednesday night, we do third down. We go through that same process with third down on Thursday. Thursday nights, red zone, short yardage, goal line. We go through that same process Friday. All right? Friday after practice, game planning's done. I can't wait to go home. I haven't seen my family probably since Sunday. All right? So I'm racing out of the parking lot with a lot of the other coaches. Players, they don't work the same hours, but they've been working hard all week. They're ready to go. But as I'm leaving, if I peek into the field house, all right, I'm going to see our quarterback out there by himself, practicing his drops, going through every play in his head. All right, what happens if they go to cover 3? What happens if they go to cover 2? He's working through every single play on that game plan. All right, he works really hard, and it's required. And a lot of people say, well, of course. All right, if he does his job really well, if you do your job really well as a quarterback, you're going to make $20 to $30 million a year, all right, plus sponsorships. All right, you're going to be famous. 70,000 people are going to be yelling your name, and you're going to be hero of the city. So, of course, why wouldn't you work hard? But you'd be surprised. You know, you talk to coaches around the league, and you hear complaints. You know, our guy doesn't work like that. He doesn't study the film enough. He doesn't learn his protections. We can't do everything we want to do because he doesn't work hard enough. And I think it's really easy for us to apply this to our lives and our faith. Right? You know, how committed really are we? And when you think of the stakes that we're playing for, It's a lot more than money or fame or fortune, right? It's, I don't care what anyone says, there's something eternal here, right? And it's not your money, it's not your car, it's not your house, it's something about us, and it's our souls, right? And what we're working for is a lot bigger than winning a few football games, right? We're talking about eternal, what happens to us when we die, right? It's either eternal happiness or eternal suffering. So I think it's important that we are committed. All right? After that, I want to find out if it has coaching. All right, so guys make it to the NFL, they've got a lot of experience at this point, right? These guys are really smart about football, they know their bodies, right? They know how much they think they should practice, how much they think they should condition. There's a lot of opinions out there, and it's hard to mold a team with all those opinions. So we want to make sure we find guys that are going to sacrifice for the team and do what the coaches are asking. So I stand near Cam Jordan a lot during practice. The defensive line's here, quarterbacks are here, practice is happening. And Cam talks a lot. And he'll tell you, like he complains about other defensive ends. He's like, man, if they had let me play like him, I'd have 20 sacks. All he does is rush the passer. Well, here, they make Cam play the run. He's got to do his job, because that's what's best for the team. Now, Cam can just rush the passer every play and maybe get 5 more sacks a year, and probably make more money, and make more Pro Bowls and all that stuff. But he's a coachable guy who does what's best for the team. And look, this is a big one for me, right? I don't have a lot of patience when I hear someone say, I'm Catholic, but I don't agree with what the church teaches about contraception or abortion. I'm Catholic, but I don't see why I have to go tell a priest my sins. All right, now look, you can believe what you want, but we got a word for that, all right? It's called Protestants. No offense if anyone who's a Protestant here, right? But, part of being a Catholic is accepting what the church teaches. And it's not always easy, I know that, but it gives me comfort. And I don't know if I'm just getting old, but it seems to me that as we go on, the world gets more morally confused and morally upside down. And it's very comforting for me to know that there is this institution that has had a supernatural consistency in faith and doctrine for 2,000 years. And to know that sits there and that's something I can count on. All right, that's comforting. And like I said, it's not only 5 left. All right. It's comforting to me to know that. And look, I know it's not easy. I got 7 kids, and if I was to be honest, I'd tell you I don't even like kids. But I like my wife, and I'm Catholic, and here we go. All right, I'm going to speed up here. So, we find out that coaching, well, that's important, right? Next, I want to know about fundamentals. All right, fundamentals important. As coaches, sometimes we think we find this fancy passing play or the best blitz, and that's going to win the game. And those things are important, but if you don't block and you don't tackle, none of it matters. All right, the fundamentals are what's important. We start every practice with 10 minutes of center quarterback exchange. All right, so Drew Brees is going to his 20th year. First thing he learned to do is take a snap. We spend 10 minutes every day working on it. It'd be easy for him to take it easy, but he straps up his chin strap and he acts like it's the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl and scores tie, just simply going through center quarterback exchange. All right? So, how does that apply to us? Well, what are the fundamentals of our faith? Well, first and foremost, are the sacraments, right? It's Eucharist and confession. Get them off. All right? Don't skimp on the fundamentals. It's prayer, it's fasting, it's almsgiving. Jesus said in the Bible, when you pray, do it in private. When you fast, clean yourself up. When you give, don't make a big show of it. He didn't say if, he said when. He didn't expect us to do these things, right? It's the rosary, it's adoration, all right? And if things aren't going well in the football field, once you get those fundamentals all tied up, things start going smoothly. And I know in my life, if I'm fighting with my wife or losing my temper with the kids, all right, it's probably because I haven't been in confession frequently enough, or my prayer life's not enough. So, fundamentals. All right, mental toughness. All right, that's the next thing we're looking for, mental toughness. So, quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. You're going to throw interceptions. All football players are going to make mistakes. All right, but you got to pick yourself up when that happens. And You know, I remember Drew Brees' worst game he had. He threw about 5 interceptions against the Falcons back in 2012. All right, a lot of guys would just fold it up, but his attitude was, I feel bad for the next team when we play, because I'm going to shred it. Because that's the most mentally tough guy I've ever met. All right, and this applies to us. It's easy sometimes to get discouraged when you see how weak you are. You know, it's embarrassing for me. I can really record my confession and go in every 2 weeks and push play and pretty much cover everything again. You know, it's not, that can be discouraging. Maybe you've slipped up already in a Lenten resolution. You know, what do you do now? Do you give up? Or do you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get after it? I think it was John Paul II who said, Christianity is not about never falling, it's about getting up every single time you fall. Okay? They call it Catholic guilt. It's a good thing. When you do something wrong, feel guilty, right? Acknowledge it, confess it, and try not to do it again. So mental toughness. All right. Next thing we're going to look for is what kind of leaders are we? All right. We're looking for leadership from our quarterbacks, from every player on the field. The guys lead in different ways. Some guys get up in front of the whole team and give a nice speech. Some guys kind of grab people individually and lead that way. Other people lead by example. Hey, watch me work, follow me. And a quarterback, we're looking for guys that are going to have some ball back. All right, it's hard for a quarterback to get away with not being a leader. And it's hard on some guys because the minute you start calling people out, saying, hey, we need to get in our playbook, we need to know our jobs, all right, we need to execute, we need to practice hard. Now you're putting yourself up there to get criticized, right? Like, hey, I saw you throw that interception, I saw you make that mistake, or even talk to me. All right, so it takes courage to be leaders, all right? But I think we all know we live in a time, as hard as we mentioned, where men need to step up and be leaders, all right? And it's not, again, always easy. Like, I like to go to dark churches and sit in the corner and pray, and I'm not going to hold your hand during Our Father, all right? I don't like singing in church. So this isn't easy for me to get up and talk about my faith. It's not something I'm real comfortable with. But because I have a famous grandfather and a cool job, people sometimes ask me to talk, and so man, I feel like it's a duty of mine to get up here and say something if it could help anyone. All right, so don't be shy to get up and be a leader. All right, and the last thing I'm going to talk about is consistency. We're looking for guys, right? You watch film on these quarterbacks, and we start breaking it down into situational football. How are they doing when they're up? What are they doing when they're behind? Third down, red zone. 2-minute drives is a big one. I want to see how they perform when really the pressure's on and the game's on the line. All right, some guys, man, they're doing well. Then when it really gets tough and the pressure's really on, you can see them tighten up and they choke a little bit. Other guys kind of piddle around all game and then they come alive when the pressure's on. Well, we're looking for guys that are always good. We know what we're getting every single day. Practice, meetings, and games. All right, there's a consistency there that we're looking for. And, I think that's a big challenge to us. I think something we say to our players all the time is like, hey, you're fooling yourself if you think you can practice like this and then turn it on Sunday. Right? You're going to play like you practice. And I think we're fooling ourselves. We think like, hey, sometime in the future I'm going to get my act together. All right. I think it was, I don't know if he really said it, but the legend of St. Augustine, in the midst of his conversion, said, God, please give me chastity, just not yet. And you probably all can relate to that in one way or another, but I would challenge you, don't put off being your best self. Don't put off becoming the man that you want to be. It would be great if we had a clock and a scoreboard, we could look up and we're in the shotgun and say, all right, I'm down 2 cents, and I got 2 years left, I can do this, But that's not how we work, right? So, like we said, it's not going to be easy. It's not easy to live the way we're called to live, all right? But it's happier and it's better. And I'd rather live hard and die with a little more confidence than live easy and die scared, all right? So, again, I hope I made the time, and thank you very much.